The entire concept of intelligence that you were taught in school, built by people who needed obedient factory workers. The IQ test, invented to sort military recruits. Your GPA, designed to predict how well you follow instructions, not how well you think. Strip all of that away, strip the money away, strip the system away. What kind of smart are you actually? That's what this video is about, and I promise, by the end, you will never look at a successful person the same way again. Level 1. IQ 70 to 85. The accidental genius. Let's start at the bottom, and I say that with love. At this level, in our current world, society has quietly decided these people are less useful. They struggle with abstract thinking, long-term planning, reading complex systems. The economy punishes them, quietly, efficiently, without apology. But strip away money? Suddenly, the guy who couldn't pass a math test is the one who knows exactly how to gut a fish, build a fire from wet wood, and predict rain by watching how ants move. That's not stupidity. That's a different operating system. In a world without money, embodied intelligence, the kind that lives in your hands, your gut, your senses, becomes premium currency. The accidental genius doesn't know he's a genius. He just does things. And in a world without money, doing things is everything. Score in the old world? C-. Score in the new world? Quietly indispensable. Level 2. IQ 85 to 100. The social architect. Here's where it gets interesting. Average intelligence, and before you get offended, statistically most of us live here, is wildly underrated. In a money-based world, average IQ people are the backbone of every economy. They follow systems, execute tasks, keep the machine running. But in a world without money, the social architect thrives. Why? Because the most valuable skill in a resource-sharing society isn't being the smartest person in the room, it's being the person everyone trusts. People at this level are masters of reading social dynamics. They know who's lying, they know who's generous, they know who will stab you for the last potato. They build alliances, they mediate conflicts, they remember who helped them 3 winters ago, and they pay it back. In behavioral economics, this is called reciprocal altruism, and it is, without exaggeration, the foundation of every successful human civilization ever built. Money replaced this system with transactions. Remove money, and the social architect becomes the most powerful person in any village, tribe, or post-apocalyptic neighborhood. Old world? Middle management. New world? De facto mayor of everything. Level 3. IQ 100 to 115, the dangerous optimist. Now we're getting into slightly above average territory, and this is where things get spicy. People at this intelligence level are smart enough to understand complex systems, but not quite smart enough to know what they don't know. In psychology, this is adjacent to the Dunning-Kruger peak. The confidence is high, the blind spots are magnificent. In a world without money, the dangerous optimist immediately starts designing systems. We should organize the food distribution by alphabetical order. I've created a points-based barter system. It's basically money, but better. I read a book about this once. They mean well, they work hard, they genuinely believe they're helping, and sometimes they actually are. The dangerous optimist builds the first version of everything. The first irrigation ditch, the first communal kitchen, the first completely unnecessary but weirdly impressive watchtower. They fail a lot. They iterate. They fail better. In a world without money, failure is the tuition fee for competence, and the dangerous optimist is always enrolled. Old world? Middle management with 3 failed startups. New world, the person who accidentally invents agriculture again. Let's continue with level 4, IQ 115 to 130, the quiet strategist. Here's where intelligence starts to look suspicious. The quiet strategist doesn't talk much. They watch, they calculate, they wait. In a money world, hedge fund manager, chess grandmaster, the lawyer who wins cases nobody else takes. In a world without money, They're the one who knew 3 months early that the river would flood, the eastern tribe was expanding, and the berry bushes would peak in 11 days. They don't hoard this information. Well, most of them don't. Here's the dark side. Intelligence without ethical constraint is just manipulation with better vocabulary. They face a fork. Path A, protect the community, become a legend. Path B, accumulate favors, loyalty, influence, which is, let's be honest, just money with extra steps. The scary truth is in every recorded human society, both paths exist simultaneously. Old world, the person you should have listened to in 2019. New world, either the village oracle or the first politician. Coin flip. Level 5, IQ 130 to 145, the curse of clarity. We've reached the territory where intelligence becomes genuinely uncomfortable to possess. Research consistently shows that very high intelligence correlates with higher rates of anxiety, existential dread, and social isolation. Why? Because when you see systems clearly, you also see how broken they are. They see the inefficiencies, the corruption, the financial system as a collective hallucination held together by mutual agreement and the vague threat of consequences. Now, remove money. For 48 hours, the person with the curse of clarity feels something they've never felt before. Relief. The hallucination is over. Finally, the world matches how their brain works. Then hour 49 hits, and they realize humans are still humans, rebuilding the same broken systems with different labels. Most of them fight it. A few build something better. Those few are the reason civilization keeps lurching forward. Old world, the professor nobody listens to until it's too late. New world, the architect of the next version of everything. Level 6, IQ 145 to 160. The alien among us, roughly 0.1% of the population. They think in frameworks that don't have names yet. They don't ask, how do we fix it? They ask, why does this system exist at all? In a money world, celebrated or completely ignored. Nothing in between. In a world without money, here's the paradox. They might be less immediately useful than the guy who can gut a fish. Abstract genius operates on a time delay. Their insights today might not apply for 50 years, but every long-term survival advantage humanity ever developed, fire, agriculture, medicine, sanitation, started as an abstract idea in a brain most people found deeply weird. In a moneyless world, the alien needs protection. They need someone to say, I don't understand what you're doing, but I trust that it matters. That trust is the most valuable investment any society ever makes. Old world, underpaid researcher with 17 unread papers. New world, the reason your grandchildren survive. Level 7, IQ 160 plus. The problem with being God tier. The rarefied air, the statistical outliers, brains so different from the norm that communication itself becomes a barrier. Here's what the research shows, and this is the part that breaks people. Extreme intelligence without emotional intelligence is almost completely useless in a social species. We survive in groups. Groups run on trust, communication, and shared narrative, not raw processing power. The God-tier intellect can model optimal solutions to every resource problem, predict social dynamics 3 moves ahead, design systems of breathtaking efficiency. And nobody will listen, because they sound alienating. Their confidence reads as arrogance. The gap between how they think and how everyone else thinks is so wide, the bridge keeps collapsing. The ones who actually changed the world learned, painfully, slowly, how to translate, how to wrap a God-tier idea in a story that a tired, hungry, scared human being can believe in. Because in any world, the most powerful force isn't intelligence, it's the story you tell about what intelligence is for. Old world, either a billionaire or completely off the grid, no in between. New world, the myth, the legend, the person future generations argue about whether they actually existed. So here's what a world without money actually reveals. Intelligence isn't a ladder. It's a toolbox, and the tools that matter depend entirely on the world you're living in. The guy who can't balance a checkbook but can read the weather? Priceless. The social architect who remembers every favor? The glue of civilization. The quiet strategist who sees 3 moves ahead? Dangerous, necessary, both. The alien genius working on something nobody understands yet? The long bet humanity keeps making on itself. Money didn't measure intelligence. It measured one very specific kind of usefulness in one very specific system. Remove the system, and you remove the illusion. What's left is something much older, much stranger, and honestly, much more interesting.